You're in Point Breeze, no?
Yeah, close to it's graduate hospital, so it was like a 12-minute drive.
Oh, okay. So nice.
Do you just register? What do you do with this?
So it's all this, and then go to dashboard, and then this shows you the behind the scenes, and then here you can click on
Okay.
who's coming, and then view stream will show you, yeah. And then the only thing to do on here, just so there's no sound feedback, is you see that little volume button, is to just turn that off.
Perfect.
Yeah, so it turns off on here and turns off on there.
Okay.
Yeah. There goes it. Thank you. Let me check some notes. We took so many notes this weekend. Come sit if you want to sit.
To buy Rupa's books this time because it's available in India, right? Because I was looking at Amazon here, but I didn't see that.
Her thing is, the publisher that she works with is an Indian-based company, so they don't have international distribution. But she has one person in California who, I don't know how it works, maybe she orders like surplus, but we order the books from her. And so Yesenia ordered, I told her to order 40 books in August. And she's like, they're coming in today.
Okay, that's nice.
But yeah, so she has the Gita for children, Vedas and Upanishads for children, and then she just published this summer Sutras for children. And I'm hoping she comes to do March virtual session outside of training.
Probably be here.
Good, yeah.
Because it's nice to be in the room with people. Yeah. You know what funny thing happened? I was attending Kaya's first session
Yeah.
with the Gita, and she was telling the story of Mahabharata. It was for like 2.5 hours, I think. Right towards the end, I was so sleepy because I was just by myself. I took a nap and the session was over. Where did everybody go?
I'm still here.
It was funny.
Are hers recorded?
No,
Okay.
it's live.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah?
She's such a, exactly like Rupa, and the way Rupa, and just the way you tell stories, it's really, people get really involved.
Yeah, it's nice when, stories like that you can falter. But Rupa yesterday told, I think during your session, there was a few, she talked about the Upanishads, but yesterday she went into 5 of them and told the stories of 5 of them. So Isha Upanishad, Kena Upanishad, and a few others that I knew of them, but I never heard them. And I was just sitting like, you can tell me anything you want. Do you want to start a cult? I'll be a part of it. Hi. Good, how are you? One day there'll be a new playlist. But until then. Yes, we can grab some balls today. Hi, Fran. Good to see you. We'll start soon, y'all. We'll grab therapy balls, too, with blocks, blanket, straps. We'll get some extra time to roll towards the later end. Hi. Hi. Good. My God, I was just looking at the calendar, and next week is Halloween. Where that? And then the week after, next Thursday. Today's the 21st. Yeah. Where I was coming home from teacher training this weekend, and on Saturday night, it was like 8:30 by the time I got home, and I was like, I'm going into the bed. I'm sleeping at 9 p.m., but there was throngs of people dressed in the most incredible outfits. I was like, oh, right, this is the weekend we're celebrating Halloween. But someone was dressed up as, had a whole muscular skin suit on. So not just the skeleton, but you know, if you peel back the layers of skin, you see the muscles. And I just stood on the corner, me and my dog just stood on the corner staring at her, being like, how did you do this? Because there was face paint and hand paint and everything involved. And then NPR was talking about last minute Halloween costumes that you can make. Did anyone hear that little snippet? What did they say? They said, apparently the last minute good one is to be a mime. I was like, oh, that has stood the test of time, to be able to mime your way in and out of things. Anyone have a good costume this year? Or see a good costume? Or kids have a good costume? No? Great. Same. My costume is gremlin in the dark at home, lights off.
I think any version of anything that's dead is easy. Like just make yourself.
Yes.
I'm a dead ex.
Yes. Oh, the NPR one that made me laugh was you can dress as like a punny costume, which is you be a witch, but you put paper bags like plastic bags all over you, and then you become a sandwich. I was like, well, that's good. Okay, warm. Let's see. Hi, Juliet. Good to see you. 1, 2. Okay, just waiting on a few, but lots of room for everyone to come in. Happy Monday. Great to be with you all. Some new faces and some new, I think I said this last week, but anytime you're new to the studio or it's your first class here, you get a very cute little blue star next to your name that indicates first time. So if it is and we haven't met yet, my name is Anisha, and we have Kashika here with us today, who will be walking around the room offering, you can ask questions, ask for assists, pick her brain about anything yoga related, because it's a real gift to be able to have 2 teachers in the room. I'll be practicing from the mat so people at home can have a little visual. But today and next week, hi, come on in, are the last 2 classes of October, blew by. And for the whole month of October, I've been sharing stories of the goddess. So her holiday technically finished last Sunday, but we're taking the whole month to share stories about mythology, her traditions, and how she applies to our daily life. So to back it up for a moment, when we talk about the goddess, and when I share these stories today, I'll be talking about individual characters and features of each of the goddesses. There's deities of them up in the front. There's the imagery of them all throughout the studio. The studio itself is actually named not only after Queen Village, but the 3 main mythological deities in the yogic tradition. There's Lakshmi, the goddess of beauty and wisdom. There's Saraswati, the goddess of wisdom and knowledge. And then there's Durga, the great warrior goddess, who we've been talking about for the past month. But while they are separate characters, they all derive from the same energy, the same divine feminine energy that really surrounds us, that inhabits every single one of us. And in complement with this divine feminine energy, there exists this divine masculine energy. And regardless how we are in the world and how we present ourselves, each one of us has a combination of this divine masculine and divine feminine. They occur in different forms. They take place and shape in different variations. And the beauty is neither can exist without the other. The divine feminine can't just exist in isolation, nor can the divine masculine. They harmonize, they complement, and they bring each other alive. So I share that little tidbit with you today because it's the story of how they're kind of connected with each other. Last week, I mentioned the story was about the great demon, Rakta Bija. And he was the one who came into battle, and for every drop of blood that was spilled of his, another 1,000 demons emerged. So every time the goddesses would try to provoke him or destroy him, he would get even stronger. None of their strategies were working. And so eventually what happened is there's Parvati, the goddess of the householder, who looks most like us in our daily form, with plain clothes, legs, arms. There's Durga, the warrior goddess, who rides on the back of a lion or a tiger with her 10 arms and all of her weaponry. And then the third version is Kali. She's the most ferocious. She represents this divine rage that exists in each one of us. And she's the one who, her hair is always out. Her tongue is always rolling out of her mouth. She wears the necklace of 1,000 skulls, representing just a few of the demons that she's destroyed. And little tangent asterisk is that Mariel told me once she had a painting of Kali in her home, who, Kali holds a lot of potent power. And Mariel was always like, yeah, every time I would hang the painting up, it would collapse to the ground and the glass would shatter, no matter where I put it. In one corner, in the other corner, and it's not like the rattling of the floor or miscellaneous earthquakes. And I was like, things to be aware of, things to notice, and see that even the iconography holds potency. But Kali herself, what she did was she lapped up all of the blood that this demon was spilling, Rakta Bija, so that no new demons could emerge. And as a result, Durga was able to come and slay the final blow. And then what happened after that? It's not like everyone just went back into tranquility, everyone went back into their daily lives. There's something that happens to Kali where once the fury gets unlocked, it can't just be contained again. You can't just close the door and then she goes and sits down. She takes this rage that she has after defeating an entire demonic army and goes overboard. She starts to destroy things that don't need any destruction, that haven't done anything. She burns trees down. She fully destroys the battlefield. Anyone that comes in contact with her, she's just attacking in any way, shape, or form. And so Shiva, her divine masculine energy, her consort, her beloved, he sees it and he says, the only way to quell her is I have to walk into the battlefield itself. I have to walk onto this earth and lay myself on the floor, because when she sees me, I know something will shift. And so Shiva, the divine masculine, the Lord of yoga, the great destroyer, his birthday is in March. We talk about him a lot then. But he walks onto this treacherous battlefield and he lays himself on the earth. And Kali sees him and she kills him. She rips his head off and destroys him. And as she sees herself doing that, she sees his body on the earth, and it reminds her, it calls her back and quite literally cools her down, where she steps one of her feet on his body on the earth and breathes life back into him. She uses her power to breathe life back into him, and then he reincarnates and becomes awake again. Okay, so why am I telling you this story? There is, in many traditions in India, these were thought to be not just mythology, but real things that happened, actual things that happened on the battlefield itself. But in the service of storytelling, and what mythology does, is that it gives us moments to hear these out of these world, out of our own imagination stories, to be able to find threads of connections to our daily life. And when I talk about the battlefield, It's, yes, a literal battlefield, but one of the analogies is that the battlefield is only 6 inches long. It's the space between ear to ear. The battlefield is the space that inhabits the entire mind. And so all of these stories that are taking place are what's happening in our own internal world. And the idea is, when you hear of the story of Kali, when she goes off the wall, where she keeps taking her rage, she doesn't know how to sequester it. It takes her to the beyond, another plane where she's destroying even the good that's in the world, is that we have so many dimensions of ourselves. There's versions of ourselves that we know very intimately, that have brought us to where we are, that have helped us destroy the demons that we've encountered today. But there's also parts of ourselves that we're still learning, that we still need in order to equilibrate ourselves, in order to find center, and in order to find more stamina and the road less traveled. So I'm telling you all this, I'll tell you more about it today, because we're going in towards full splits. We're going to do them on the floor, we're going to do them at the wall. And when we move towards this pose called Hanumanasana, you are literally stretching yourself in opposite directions, in polarity. One leg is going one way, the other is going the other. The top of your head is going in one direction, and your arms are doing something else. So the question becomes, even as you're pulling yourself in each different direction, how can you call yourself back to the center of your being, the parts of you that hold you together, that coalesce, and draw you into that energy that's right in the center? So like I said, on the floor, we're going to take it upside down. We'll do it on our backs, but in every orientation to gravity, the invitation is to remember how many versions of yourself have already existed. Starting in November, we'll be less chatty, but you got to forgive me. October is the month of story time, and it's just such a good time of year to be able to share stuff. But that was only 7 minutes, so pretty good. Let's start, if you would, lying on your backs. And for those that are on your backs already, if you wouldn't mind, turning so that your head is facing up towards me, your feet are facing to the wall behind you. Have your strap close by, and if you need one, we can bring one over to you. And just let it place off to the side. Yep, come in. Come in. Lay down on the ground in any way, shape, or form. You can unravel the strap from its little rubber band and place it off to the side. But as you lie down on the ground, you might have your arms and legs long on either side of you in more of that Shavasana shape. If you're feeling anything in your hips or low back, you might bend your knees, bring your feet as wide as your mat, and knock your knees into one another so that the weight of your legs connects with the other. But as your arms fall anywhere they fall, let your eyes softly open or softly close so you can listen for your breath. When we close our eyes, it gives us a moment to turn that attention more inward to that interior landscape, to that space behind your eyelids where so much resides. So as you turn towards that milky darkness, where you might begin to see spots of light or color or familiar forms or shapes throughout your day, can you listen for and begin to remember your breath? Let each inhalation move from your nose down into your belly and then up into your heart. And as you exhale, offer the breath out through every direction of your being, from top to bottom to side. Continue with a few more of those breaths, just at your pace. Letting each inhale move in, down, and wide. And each exhale pours itself up and out through you. Durga, the warrior goddess, had 10 arms, with all arms filled with weaponry to help her defeat any demon that she encountered. And as she is a version of you, just as you are a version of her, your most powerful weaponry you have is the fluency of your breath. It gets you through, around, and beyond the seemingly impossible. So as you take another breath in and down, let it fill you up completely. Exhale to offer the breath out through every fiber of your being. We'll start our practice and our time here with one another with 3 more rounds of that same breath. So wait for your next inhale as it fills you up. And exhale to let all of that breath go. 2 more times, just on your own. At the bottom of your breath, pause for a moment. Take notice of any difference that comes when you listen for and really remember your breath. And now, keeping that attention as best as you can, start to blink your eyes open, and let's all meet with the knees bent, feet on the ground, as you hug your right knee in towards your chest to give it an embrace. Start with some circles in the right ankle or foot. Spread the right toes as wide as you can, even point them, and just notice any sensation in the bottom of your feet. Take a full breath in as you are, and a longer breath out. And now find your strap and bring it around the ball of your right foot. Start with the right knee bent to begin. This will help you let the upper back and the left leg soften to the earth. And with the right knee very bent, give yourself enough slack on the strap so that your elbows can touch down onto either side of your body. Now keep the right knee bent for a moment and begin to straighten your left leg long out in front of you. Flex the left foot, try to straighten the left knee, and as you dig your left heel into the earth, really press the back of your left thigh down into the ground. Now begin to straighten your right leg up towards the sky, into the strap. Give yourself even more slack on the strap as needed so that your elbows, your triceps can really soften to the ground. And can you shrug both shoulders to your ears as you wiggle your shoulder blades towards each other to let the back of your heart get heavier to the earth. Now take a fuller breath in through the nose and a longer breath out through the nose or mouth. Now bring both edges of the strap into just your left hand and bring your right palm to the top of your right thigh where your right leg and your right hip start to meet each other. Give yourself a little manual pressure. Press your right thigh away from your belly towards the back of your mat. And now keep that as you move your right foot 1 inch at a time to the left-hand side. As the right foot moves to the left, keep pressing the right thigh away from your belly. Peel the right pinky toes back towards your right shin and notice what you feel in the outside of the right leg. Can you shrug your right shoulder up and back as you take a deeper breath in and a longer breath out? And now on your inhale, draw the right leg back up to the sky. Bend the knee, slip it out from the strap, and just drape the strap across your belly as you give the left leg a hug in towards your chest. Start with some circles in the foot. We're going to be spending a lot of time on the feet today, so just enjoy what it feels like to be off of them, to see what the ankle, the sole of the foot feels like. Spread the toes, point the toes as you find a deep breath in and a longer breath out. And now find your strap once again. Bring it around the ball or sole of your left foot. And as you straighten just your right leg long in front of you, see what pops up off the floor with the back of the right thigh. Can you dig your right heel into the earth? Press the right calf down into the ground and let the back of your right thigh get heavier to the earth. As you straighten your left leg to the sky into the strap, shrug the shoulders towards your ears, shrug the shoulder blades together, and really let as much of your upper back touch the ground as you can, the back of your head, the space between your shoulder blades, and even your upper arms. Take a full breath in and a longer breath out. And now both edges of the strap come into just your right hand. Bring your left palm to the left thigh and give yourself a little pressure. As you press your left palm into the leg, create space in the outer left hip, and slow and steady, 1 inch at a time, begin to move that right foot or the left foot to the right. Can you peel the left pinky toes back? Reach your left big toe away from you. And as that left leg moves to the right, shrug your left shoulder up and back And really let the back of your head soften to the ground. A bigger breath in and a steadier breath out. And now on your next inhalation, draw the left leg all the way back up. Slip it out from the strap. Give your legs a hug in towards your chest or in towards your belly. Perhaps you make some gentle circles in one or the other direction or lean ever so slightly from side to side. But feel your connection here against the earth, the back of your head, your hips, and any part of you touching the earth. And now let's meet in tabletop. Take a few breaths to come off of your back. You might roll forward and back. You might roll over onto one side, but come to all fours facing the front of your mat. Have your blocks framing out the front. You might use them as we start to move about. Spread your fingers nice and wide, and let your toes be tucked or untucked back behind you. And now moving on your own, start to round and arch your spine through a few rounds of cat and cow, linking your breath and movement together. Slow and steady that breath as you are, and notice what you feel. If it feels good to stay more rounded for a few extra breaths, please feel free to do so. Maybe it feels good to stay arched for a few breaths. Take what you need here. But slow down the next breath in, and really lengthen the full exhale out through every direction. And now as you make your way back to tabletop, come to neutral. Walk your hands a handprint forward of your shoulders. Walk your knees back behind your hips. And with those toes tucked under, we'll meet in downward facing dog as you lift your hips to the sky. In this first down dog of class, take anything that you need. Maybe it's stillness. You might pedal your heels one at a time from side to side. Maybe both knees soften and straighten at the same time. But let it be an offering to the full depth of your breath, a bigger breath in and a longer breath out. Now when you find your next exhale, lift your heels, soften your knees, look forward, and one foot at a time, walk your feet up towards your hands to come into your forward fold. You might have those blocks underneath your hands to bring the floor higher up to you. You might widen your feet or even soften your knees, all in the service of giving yourself more space than before. But as you bow in towards your own self, take a deeper breath in and a longer breath out. And now hands climb up to your hips, stand through your legs, and a big inhale to come up to rise as you release your hands. With your feet underneath your hips, wait for your inhale to reach the arms forward and up. And on your exhale, soften your knees as you fold. Inhale to come up halfway to lengthen, grow long through your spine. And on your exhale, step it back to plank pose. Find the top of your push-up. With your knees up or down, can you hug your legs towards each other without moving them? Hug them towards each other. And now think tailbone towards your heels as you slide your heart forward. Big breath in. And exhale to bend your elbows to lower all the way down to your belly. Wait for your inhale to rise for cobra or baby cobra. Lift up through the heart. And on your exhale, take it back to downward facing dog, hips to the sky. 3 slow, steady breaths here. And the beauty of that mythological story is that Shiva, that divine masculine energy, didn't walk onto the battlefield and see Kali and say, oh, you're messing up, you're doing wrong, you got to change. He didn't tell her what to do. He just reminded her of who she's always been, aspects of herself that perhaps got forgotten. So here, as you find your way into your second down dog of class, it's not a practice or a strategy to fix or change, but to remind you of who you've always been, the full depth of your breath that encircles you, that encapsulates you. When you find your next exhale, lift your heels, soften your knees, take your time, and come forward to the top of your mat. Wait for the inhale to come up halfway, grow longer through your spine. And can you keep that length as you fold and bow in? Take the breath to rise. Big inhale to reach up, touch the sky. And on your exhale, let your hands come down by your side. Let's do that one more time. Really follow your breath more than my voice. As you inhale, reach up. On your exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Take the whole breath to come up halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. And on your exhale, plank pose. Step it all the way back. A full cycle of breath in. And on your exhale, lower, Chaturanga Dandasana. Wait for your inhale to rise, Cobra, Bhujangasana. Really press your feet into the earth. And exhale to take it back to downward facing dog, hips to the sky. With each breath in, can you hug your hands towards each other from right to left? And you feel the energy from the ground run up the back into the shoulder blades. And now from your shoulder blades, push your arms down and forward to lift your hips up and back towards the wall behind you. Now on your next inhale, lift the right leg to the sky. Step it through or around to catch your lunge. Come high up onto your fingertips or blocks on either side of that right foot. With your right knee and toes pointing straight ahead, squeegee the left foot back another inch or two. Now take a big breath in as you lift your chest. And exhale to move that right leg to straight, pyramid pose. Let's do that twice more with the breath. On your inhale, come back to lunge, bend the knee, lift your heart. Exhale to fold and straighten that right leg. One more big breath in. How long can you get through the crown of your head? And exhale to fold as you straighten the right leg. Pause here. Lift your back heel a drop higher up off the floor. Wrap your front left hip forward and tack your right hip back and see if that travels anywhere into the back of your right thigh. Take a full breath in and a deeper breath out. And now on your inhale, back it up. Step through lunge, plant your palms, and take it back to downward facing dog. Pedal your heels one at a time from side to side and notice any difference that you feel. And now a few more times together. Inhale through to plank pose. Exhale to lower, Chaturanga Dandasana. Wait for the breath in, rise for Cobra, hug the shoulder blades together. And on your exhale, take it back to downward facing dog. Float the left leg up and back. Step it through or around, maybe even use a helping hand to catch your lunge. Come high up onto your fingertips or blocks on either side of the left foot. And now wiggle the right toes back just an inch or two. As you inhale, lift up through the heart, look forward. And exhale to Pursvottanasana, pyramid. Twice with your breath, wait for the inhale to grow long, bend the knee. Big exhale to fold and straighten your left leg. One more, inhale to grow long. Can you lift your back right thigh higher? And exhale to fold and straighten that leg. Pause here. Lift your right heel higher up off the earth. This will help you move the hips. And as you wrap your back right hip forward, let the left hip tack back. The hope is you don't feel it behind the left butt cheek or the knee, but in the belly of your left hamstrings. Take one more breath in and a bigger breath out. And now on your inhale, bend your left knee. Plant your palms on the earth. Take it back to downward facing dog and notice any difference that you feel from side to side. Slow inhale through to plank pose. Big exhale to lower, Chaturanga Dandasana. One more inhale to rise for Cobra, Bhujangasana. Hug the shoulder blades together. And exhale to take it back to downward facing dog. From your down dog, float the right leg up and back. Now pause here. You might look down at yourself and see if you can see your right toes in space. Can you wrap your right hip to face the earth? Wrap the right toes to face straight down. And as you straighten your right leg, lift your right inner thigh one more inch to grow longer to the sky. Now on your exhale, look between your hands and step it through to catch your lunge. Pivot your hands and feet to the left and come into your wide-legged forward fold, facing the long edge of your mat. Tiny bend in your knees, especially if they lock. And now feel both feet on the ground and just experiment with lifting and spreading your toes and see where the weight falls in the corners of your feet. As you lift and spread your toes for a moment longer, hug your legs together. Feel the inner thighs engage. Now take a big breath in. As you exhale, lower the toes, soften the elbows, and maybe you bow in towards yourself. But with each inhale, without moving your feet, hug your legs together from front to back. And as you exhale, keep that steadiness through the legs and let your spine get heavier to the ground. Now let the head stay heavy. Turn the right knee and toes to catch your lunge. Big, slow inhale to come up to rise for high lunge. Take your time. Reach your arms, your chest, and your torso to the sky. Walk the right foot as much as you need over to the right to steady the balance. And now lift that back heel higher. Wrap your left hip forward and tack the right hip back. As you reach up through the arms, look away from the ground. Take a big breath in. And on your exhale, bend 1 more inch into that right thigh as your left thigh stays lifting to the sky. Now hands come to your hips. Tiny bend in the back knee as you come all the way up to stand, left thigh to your chest, and lower the left foot down next to your right. Bend your knees, sit your hips back, Utkatasana. As your hips go back, lift your heart up to the sky. Stay right here breathing. If you want to add some heat in the arms can go up overhead. But can you slide those bottom ribs back to steady the middle of your back? Slide the ears back to lift your chin. And then maybe the arms come back in line with your ears as you sit 2 inches lower to the earth. Take a big breath in. Stay for the exhale. And then inhale to come all the way to rise. Get 1 inch taller and exhale to fold, bowing in. Plant your palms to the top of your mat. Step your feet to the back of your mat and take it back to downward facing dog. Wait for your next inhale as you float the left leg up and back. Look down at your body and see if you can see your left toes in space. Can you wrap your left hip to face the floor? Turn your left toes to face the ground. And as you hug your left leg 1 inch to the middle of your mat to the right, push through your arms, lift your left inner thigh 1 more inch to touch the sky. And now look between your hands, step it all the way through to catch your lunge. Pivot your hands and feet to the right. You might bring your strap with you, for we'll take a shoulder stretch on this side. So as you either hold a strap between your hands at your low back or interlace your fingers. But once the strap comes behind you, bend your elbows, hug your shoulder blades together, and now reach your arms off of your tush towards the sky. As the arms lift up, sometimes the elbows lock out. Can you find a tiny bend in your elbows that you might not feel, but you can see? And now pull your feet in towards each other, tug your strap apart, and hug the shoulder blades together to broaden through the chest. Take a big breath in. Stay for the exhale, even gently lift your chin to create space so there's room for breath to come through. And now release those hands back down to your tush. Ditch your strap to the side, turn the left knee and toes to catch your lunge, and the whole inhale brings you up to rise for high lunge on the second side. Reach up, touch the sky. Walk the left foot as much as you need to the left, but lift that back right heel higher so you can wrap your back right hip forward and the left hip back. Now stretch up through the arms. See if you can look away from the floor as you take a big breath in. Stay for your exhale, bend into the left thigh as the right thigh stays lifting to the sky. Now tiny bend in the back knee, all the hops you need to come up to rise. Grow 1 inch taller, and now lower the right foot down. Last round of chair, bend your knees, sit your hips back. Check to see that your knees and toes are pointing in the same direction. And as your hips go back and you lift your heart up, can you feel like your belly button and ribs are coming towards each other, or the shutters are closing? Then slide the ears back to lift your chin. And then bring those arms back in line with your ears as you sit lower to the earth. Big inhale to come up to rise, get taller. And exhale to fold, bowing into yourself. Plant those palms to the top of your mat. Step your feet all the way back to the back of your mat to take it back to downward facing dog. And now on your inhale, come forward to plank pose. And exhale to lower all the way down onto your belly. Make a pillow with your hands. Rest on your forehead or on one of your cheeks. Close your eyes for a moment and call yourself back to your breath. We started lying on our backs, both long and short time ago, breathing into the back of your body. And now as you lay here on your belly, can you breathe into all of those points touching the floor beneath you? The more you breathe into your belly, let the back of your body broaden. The more you breathe into your belly and into your chest, feel the whole back body expand. So as we stay on our bellies for a few more moments, stay down on the ground and stretch your arms alongside of you as you flip your palms down to face the floor. We'll lift into locust in a moment, but before we lift up, feel both legs back behind you. And without moving them, can you hug your legs towards each other? Feel this magnetic pull of energy between those thighs. Now shrug your shoulders to the ears, hug the shoulder blades towards each other. As you inhale, lift your head, lift your heart, float your arms up off the earth, and exhale to let the legs lift up and away from the ground. Let your eyes soften or fully close so you can really listen for your breath. With each inhale, hug those inner thighs towards each other and think inseams of your pants towards the sky to clear space in the low back. Now hug the shoulder blades together. Lift your palms a centimeter more as you take a big breath in and exhale to release. Lower all the way down. Make another pillow with your hands. Rest on your forehead or on one of your cheeks and listen for the fullness of your breath. There's poses in our yoga practice that are meant to test your capacity for breath. They increase the rate of your heart, they make you sweat. But just like Gali's story, we're not trying to stay in this place of intensity, but every opportunity to give ourselves to steady our breath, to call yourself back to the beating of your heart, helps you find that thread of connection. So keep that pillow with your right hand, let your forehead rest on your right palm. Bend your left knee, and for a thigh stretch, reach your left hand around for your left foot. Ardha Bekasana, half frog. As you hold on to the foot or the leg of your pants or somewhere on the ankle, feel that left leg back behind you and hug your left thigh towards your right thigh. Now draw the left heel towards your left tush and shrug your left shoulder up and back. Take a big breath in. Stay for your exhale. Gently push your left foot back into your hand and create some resistance between hand and foot. Now on your inhale, release the hold of your leg. Switch sides. Pillow with your left palm. Bend your right knee and reach your right hand around for the right foot. First things first, my right thigh always moves over to the right. Can you hug your inner thighs towards each other? This will steady space in the low back. Now draw your right heel towards your right tush as you shrug your right shoulder up and back. Take a big breath in. Stay for your exhale. You might even push your right foot back into the hand and create some resistance to notice what you feel in the right thigh. Now on your inhale, release the hold of your leg. Plant your palms to either side of your chest. Tuck your toes under. Press yourself up through to tabletop or plank pose. And on your exhale, we meet again in downward facing dog, hips to the sky. From your down dog, float the right leg up and back. Draw your right foot to the outside of your right hand and come into this lizard lunge shape. Lower your back knee down onto the floor or a blanket. Give yourself padding. And now come up onto your fingertips or blocks on either side, on the inside of the right foot. We'll make our way towards half split, Ardha Hanumanasana. You might need to walk your blanket back, but walk your left knee back. And now really walk your hands all the way back with you. One more time, walk your left knee back and walk your hands back. And once you come to the edge, think like someone's pulling you back from your hips. You send your hips back to lengthen through the right leg. Good. Hands on the inside of the right foot gives more stability. Both, you can use your hands to frame out the block to find a little bit more balance. But as you flex the right pinky toes back, notice if your right knee tends to lock out and drop towards the earth. Can you soften the right knee and then do this action of pulling the right heel back and the left hip and thigh more forward. Now push down into your blocks to lift your heart. Get longer. Keep your left hand down and bring your right hand to your right hip. Tack your right hip back, peel the right pinky toes back, and as you shrug the right shoulder up and back from your belly, start to twist open to the right. As the belly turns to the right hand side, you can keep your hand on your hip. You might reach the right arm up to the sky, but take a bigger breath in and a longer breath out through every direction of you. Now on your inhale, unwind, lower the hands, back yourself out, bend your right knee, plant your palms, and peel yourself back to downward facing dog. Step the right foot back to meet your left. Pedal your heels one at a time. Notice any difference that you feel from side to side. And now on your next inhale, float the left leg up and back. Step your left foot outside of your left hand and lower your right knee down onto any padding that you'd like. Once your hands are on the ground or high up on blocks, take a breath here as you lift your chest. And now we back our way into it. Walk the right knee back. Bring your hands all the way back with you. Walk your right knee back and bring your hands back. And now instead of just moving the left knee to the floor, think from your hips. Send the hips back to lengthen through the back of your left leg. See if you can peel the left pinky toes back. And now as you push down into your blocks, lift up through the heart, get taller. It's this action of trying to hug your legs together. You drag the left heel back, wrap the right hip forward, and hopefully feel that right here in the middle, medius part of your left thigh. Take a big breath in, grow long. And now with your right hand down, left hand to your left hip. Tack your left hip back, shrug the left shoulder up and back, and from your belly, begin to turn your chest open to the left. Can you peel the left pinky toes back? And as you slide the ears back, stay here, or maybe reach that left arm to the sky, but a bigger breath in. Stay for your exhale, and then inhale to unwind. Come back through center, bend your left knee, and take it all the way back to downward facing dog, hips to the sky. Pedal your heels one at a time. Notice any difference that you feel and see. And now before we come to the wall, lower both knees to the floor, slither down onto your belly, and find your therapy balls. If anyone needs therapy balls, we can bring some over to you. You can take them out of their tote. Thanks, Kashika. And you just need one. So we'll roll out the thighs, and then we'll take it to the wall and do splits at the wall and see where we go. So take one out, and they're coming to you when you need them, and come to lay all the way onto your belly. Now bring that therapy ball right above your right knee, somewhere at the bottom of your right thigh. Make a pillow with your hands once you find a sweet spot. And then slowly start to bend and straighten the right leg. Do that a few times. Notice if there's any different sensation when the knee is bent versus straight. And now the next time you bend your right knee, let it stay bent, and move the right knee and thigh to the right and foot to the left. So you come to the inner thigh, and then knee to the left and foot to the right, to the outer thigh. Do that a few times. Get as comfortable as you possibly can in your upper body. Unclench your fingers, soften your jaw, soften your tongue, and really listen for the fullness of your breath. Big inhales in through the nose, and longer exhales out through the nose or mouth. We roll out the thighs because the thighs and your hamstrings that we've been spending so much time on are complementary to each other. When one contracts, the other lengthens, and when one lengthens, the other contracts. So when you give yourself a chance to roll the thighs out, it might create some different sensation in the backs of your legs and all the way up into the low back. So after a few breaths here at the bottom of your right thigh, come back through center, use your hand and pull the therapy ball up so you come more to the middle of your leg, somewhere different, slightly higher than where you just were. Stack the other palm or rest the other cheek, and go at your pace as you bend and straighten the right knee, and let the knee go from left to right. I think it was a few years ago also, Mariel reminded me, I was like, I come to yoga class, in between yoga classes, I'm just sitting on my couch and not doing anything and watching the news. But I come here and I roll the thighs out and do a thigh stretch, and it feels like my legs are full of rocks, like lead, full density. And she was like, yeah, because at every given point of your day, your body is responding in fight or flight. So there's always adrenaline or things that are running through your body at small doses. But the first place that goes to is your legs to help you decide, like, am I going to stay? Am I going to run? And am I going to collapse? Mine is always collapse. But the legs and the thighs hold a lot. So even when you're sitting watching the computer or news, there's information that's being stored in here, so we give ourselves time to recalibrate. So after a few breaths in the middle of your right thigh, pop the therapy ball out, hold on to it, just stretch your legs behind you, close your eyes for a moment, and take notice of any difference that you feel from side to side. This practice and this rolling isn't work of fixing or changing or shape-shifting who you are, but it's calling yourself back to yourself, reminding you of who you've always been. So as you notice any difference from right to left leg, can you send your breath into that space, in and down, and a bigger breath out through every direction of you. Now after a few breaths, let's do the same thing on the other side. Find the therapy ball right above your left knee at the base of your left thigh. Make a pillow with your hands, get comfortable, and working on your own, there's no surprises on the second side. Begin to bend and straighten the left leg. Do that a few times, and as you bend the knee, let the knee go from left to right, from side to side, noticing what you feel from one leg to the other. Check to see if the fingers are clenched, if the jaw is tight, if your tongue's pressing up against the roof of your mouth. Try to let all that go. Big inhale in. Even open your mouth to really let that breath out. Now after a few breaths, when you're ready, at the bottom of your thigh, we come up to that last section, the middle. Use your hand and pull the therapy ball up to somewhere new. Rest on the other palm or on the other cheek. And as you bend and straighten and let the knee go from right to left, take bigger inhales in and full, steady exhales out. After a few breaths here in the bottom and the middle of your thigh, take your time to pop that therapy ball out. Stretch your legs back behind you. Close your eyes for a moment and just take notice of what you don't see with your eyes, but you can so clearly feel from side to side. And now after a few breaths, bring your hands to either side of your chest. Press yourself up through to tabletop. And we're going to come to the wall. So if you could, when you're ready, bring all of your things with you to wall space, the short edges of your mat to the wall. There's closet doors, fair game, there's space, but there's definitely room for all of us to find some space here. But we'll close today at the wall, so you can bring all of your things with you, your blocks, your blanket, your straps, all the good stuff. Yeah, you can go there. Everyone finding some room? Great. Okay, so we've done an infinite number of versions of Hanumanasana, full splits. We've done pyramid pose. We've done three-legged dog. We've done lying on our backs. And the thing about Hanumanasana, or full splits that we're moving towards, is that when you do it on the ground, because there's so much resistance on the earth, it gets a little difficult to move your hips in one or the other direction. So this one, we're going to use the wall, and use the wall as a little bit of leverage to create some space. So I'll show you what we're going into, and then I'll talk you through it. We'll do one on each side, and then we lay down. So it looks like this. You come into tabletop in a moment, and then you make your way to your tiny down dog at the wall. Now one leg will lift as high as it can go up the wall. The tendency of what happens, and what we tried to cue today all throughout class, is when the leg lifts, the hip tends to open up to the side. That's just how your hips are built naturally. This knee might even be bent. But what we're trying to do is, as you straighten the leg, you're trying to wrap this top hip down, like left hip to the floor, and lift this outer right hip up to the sky. And even when I do that now, I feel it already here in the belly of those right hamstrings. So there's so much to do. You can stay here the whole time. Or another option I'll walk you through is you might walk your hands back towards the wall and wiggle the left toes up the wall a little higher. And now the same actions apply. I'm wrapping my left hip down, lifting my right hip up. And as you wrap your left hip down, right hip up, you might wrap so much that this bottom foot lifts up off the floor for a moment. And as you push down into your arms, you ground this heel back to the earth and send your pelvis, your pubic bone to the wall without letting this happen. Keep this action of wrapping your hips towards each other. And then when you want to come out, you walk yourself out and rest for a breath or two in child's pose, or just for a second where your head can be below your heart so you don't see stars like I am right now. Should we try it? Yeah, there's lots of variations. There's no need to walk yourself closer. The idea is you want to feel length in both the bottom leg and the front of your top hip. But if you have any questions about it, Kaushika and I are here, but I'll talk you through it. So when you're ready, come into tabletop with your feet touching the wall. Come onto your hands and your knees. So from tabletop, take a breath or two as you arrive. And now make your way into your tiny down dog at the wall. Lift your hips up to the sky. Offer it to your breath. And now lift your right leg as high up the wall as it will go. Tuck the right toes under and try to straighten your right knee. And now without moving anywhere, feel the bottom left leg. Can you wrap your right hip towards the earth and lift your left hip away from the ground? And notice what you feel in the back of the left thigh. Stay here breathing, or if you want anything different, squeegee the right toes higher up the wall and walk your hands back towards the wall, a centimeter or a few handprints. And now as you wrap your left hip towards the earth, lift your right hip up. Maybe the right foot flexes up off the floor. And as you flex the left foot up off the ground, maybe you ground your left heel back to your sticky mat and send your pubic bone towards the wall to get longer. Breathe. And whenever you're done and you want to come out, you walk your hands back forward, lower the right foot to the floor, and take a breath or two to rest. In child's pose, in tabletop, on your belly, just a moment where your head can be below your heart, even for a second. And then come on up to a seat. How'd that go? I look at the mat. I look down between my hands because it helps me push my hands down into the ground. Some people like to look at the wall to give the sides of your neck more length. It's really just dependent on you. But I find when I look at the wall, I get disoriented. So I like to look at the hands and be like, I push you away. You feel it? Okay. You feel it? Let's try the other side so we're not uneven for too long. So take a few breaths, make your way to table, there's no rush. And as you find your next inhale, tiny down dog at the wall. Lift your hips up to the sky. Take a breath here. And to Lisa's point, where are you looking? You can look at the floor, you can look between your hands. But as you lift your left leg as high up the wall as it can go, tuck the left toes under and try to straighten the knee like you're launching off into the next universe. Now, without moving your hands, can you wrap your left hip towards the earth, lift your outer right hip up, and notice what you feel in the bottom right leg. Stay here and breathe. Or maybe you walk your hands back an inch or two as you squeegee your left toes higher up the wall. And as you wrap your left hip down and lift your right hip up, you might let the right foot get lighter and hover it up off the earth. Straighten the right foot, flex the knee, and then perhaps you ground your right heel all the way to the floor as you send your pubic bone to the wall. You breathing in there? See if you can breathe. And whenever you want to come out, gently walk your hands forward, lower your feet to the earth. You can be in your forward fold, in tabletop, in child's pose, but an offering to your breath. Feel the beating of your heart. Listen for the sound of your own breath. And just like Kali, she defeated all of the demons. She consumed them. She destroyed them. But afterwards, there was still this rapid intensity that she felt. And as Shiva laid himself down onto the earth and she felt his presence, you feel the ground beneath you to call you back into her. So after a few breaths in table and child's pose, come up to a seat. Let's meet on our butts before we lie down. A moment in reverse table. So face the wall, butt on the ground, bend your knees, and bring your hands behind your tush as wide as your mat. As you bring your hands by your tush, thumbs facing forward, scooch your hips all the way towards your heels, towards the wall. And now push down and forward through your feet to lift your hips up off the floor. Push your palms down and apart to lift the back of your heart, like tabletop in reverse. You can look at your knees, or without cricking the neck, can you slide the sides of your throat back to look straight up to the sky? But push down and forward through your legs to lift your hips. Push your palms down and apart to lift the back of your heart. One more breath in. And on your exhale, lower your tush all the way to the ground. Come to lie on your back with your feet towards the wall, head to the middle of the room. Once you're on your back, bend your knees, bring both feet onto the floor, and bring your feet as wide as your mat. Take up some space. Your hands can rest on your body. They can rest alongside of you or even up overhead like a big upside down V. But take a big breath in. And for a few supine twists, drop your knees to the right hand side, like windshield wipers on a car. Big inhale, the knees come back up through center. And exhale to drop your knees to the left. Do that one more time from side to side on your pace. Inhale, the knees come up. Big exhale, the knees drop over. Inhale to bring the knees back up through center. And exhale to drop the knees over to the left. Now the next time the knees come all the way back up through center, give them both a squeeze in towards your chest or in towards your belly. Make some gentle circles in one or the other direction. You might come towards happy baby, letting your hands catch the backs of your thighs or your calves or your ankles or feet. But can you let the back of your head be heavy? Can you let your tailbone, your tush be heavy? And feel the steadiness of the ground deep beneath you. Take a big breath in. And on your exhale, slowly release your legs down onto the earth. Now we're closing at the wall. So a few options. If you'd like to rest in that more restorative inversion with your legs up the wall, you're more than welcome to do so. You bring one tush to the side of your tush to the wall, and swing your legs up the wall so that your heels are in line with your hips. You might also be in that more traditional Shavasana shape, but let the balls of your feet or the soles of your feet touch the wall so that you can find some grounding into the wall itself. There's no wrong answer and no wrong way to rest. But as you give yourself a moment or two to add or remove any layers or props, maybe you let your hair down, maybe you let your glasses set off safely to the side. But as you close or let your eyes soften, can you once again listen for your breath? Take the next breath as it moves from the nose down into your belly and up into your heart. And exhale to let every drop of that breath go. Take another breath, fill your belly, fill your chest, sniff in a drop more breath at the top. And then exhale to let all of that breath go. Take another breath, fill the belly, the back of your chest, the front of your chest. Sniff in an ounce more breath at the top of that. And then exhale through your nose or parted lips to let all of that breath go. As you call yourself back down to earth. The demon's defeated. The divinity remains. Can you let every round of your breath slowly dissolve the practice that was? Let each breath that you take help you arrive to where you are now. And each breath that comes after makes a little bit more space for what has yet to come. So as you continue to let your breath let you become heavier into the earth, the heavier your physical body becomes, the lighter, the more spacious, the more expansive you may just start to feel. Begin to deepen your breath. Take a longer breath in and a deeper breath out. Take another breath in, down, and wide. And as you exhale, offer all of that breath out. Begin to let the breath that you have slowly awaken the body that you're in and the very being that you are, with any gentle movement that just feels sweet to you. You might roll your wrists or ankles in one or the other direction. Perhaps you tip your head from one side to the other, heavy against the ground. You might reach your arms away from your legs or draw your knees in towards your chest. But whenever the time comes, we'll all meet with the arms overhead as you roll to any side of your choice to curl into yourself. You can push your arms down into the earth and come up to rise to a tall seat facing the middle of the room. If you'd like to sit with your back all the way to the wall for some extra support, please feel free to do so. But let the next breath move in and down so it fills you up. And exhale to offer the breath up and out. Our time together will finish with one more of those same breaths. You can place your hands to center where that may feel for you as you take a deep breath in to let it all go. You might bow your head to your hands or gently lift your hands to your head in such a simple and sweet gesture of self-reverence, bowing to the you that you were, the you that you are, and the you that you are continuously becoming into. And to all of those versions of yourself, Kaushika and I bow to each and every one of you all. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you. Drink so much water. Enjoy this beautiful weather. I'll see you soon. We'll do this again tomorrow, just a little longer and a longer story. So if you're a night yoga person, I'll teach this one more time. And then my beloved Adriana is teaching her pranayama practice group. It starts tomorrow. It's all virtual. It's an 8-week series at 7:45 in the morning for 30 minutes. You get a recording of it afterwards, but it's just such a gift if breath work and practice is something you want to incorporate at home. She begins that. And then a true treat, I just saw this. Alex Adair and Nikki Villela are hosting a Unlocking the SOAS workshop. Alex Adair used to own Magu Yoga and is an author and just a witch. I mean that in the best way possible. Like the classes I've taken with her, I'm like, what did I even do? So there's some guests who are coming into town. And I think that's all I have. What else is happening? We're voting in 2 weeks. We're dressing up for Halloween, maybe or not.
I wait too long every year, ever since I was a little kid, stress out.
About Halloween? Same.
Kids love it. I would be like,
What are we doing?
I
Yeah.
think about it all year, and I'm like, ah.
I have no idea. I know when I was a kid, my dad worked, he's always worked in a lab, so he would always have dry ice. So our Halloween decoration, he would bring home a styrofoam container. My mom and I would put on a witch's hat. I would eat all the candy, and then he would just be stirring